So weirdly, that was a great episode. I don't think I would have said that while watching, but after finishing it, the perspective that I got was that of a great episode for a Star Wars fan. Again, The Mandalorian Season 2 is going after more the Star Wars fans than the non-Star Wars fans. It's not for the layman, for the general audience. It is more about specifically the Star Wars fan. This episode exudes that. There's not much for general audiences to see. There's a couple of action scenes and that's it. But for Star Wars fans, I mean, there's a treasure trove of information and new ideas put in. So without further ado, guys, let's get it started. We open on an unknown planet and we see what basically amounts to an Imperial junkyard run by the New Republic. It seems that the New Republic are taking and repurposing old Imperial equipment, fighters and everything in between. In the background there, way in the distance, again, we see a repurposed AT-AT or AT-AT Walker. While a New Republic droid is approaching a prisoner, we see a lot of Imperial junk, but more specifically TIE fighters. There's a lot of TIE fighters in here. And lastly, we get a glimpse of Mayfeld. We learn his inmate number 34667, and he is ordered to follow Marshal Dune. Mayfeld is now being reassigned to a new mission. We see a concerned Mayfeld as he has no idea what he's about to go up against. Initially, he feared that it was the Mandalorian when he saw Boba Fett, and then Mando comes out. Now Mayfeld is terrified, but we quickly understand the harsh conditions of this labor camp as Mayfeld elects to go with his enemy rather than remain here and work. In the ship, Mayfeld learns that they are going after Moff Gideon, an idea of which Mayfeld thinks is completely laughable and tells him to turn around and leave him at the junkyard. A quick note, if you have noticed by now, Boba Fett's armor has been completely refurbished. It looks a bit different from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, since even then it was a bit scuffed up. Now it looks completely new and fresh. So this is definitely a new look for Boba Fett, even though it's his old armor. Cara Dune, though, leaves Mayfeld with no other choice, and once he even learns that it's about the little green guy, meaning Grogu, they have kidnapped him, Mayfeld starts to go along with the plan and tells him that if he is going to find Moff Gideon's coordinates, then he needs to go to Morak, access an Imperial terminal. Of course, the very resourceful Boba Fett immediately finds this Imperial refinery that Mayfeld is talking about, and this will be their ultimate journey on Morak, going for the Imperial refinery. We see that this planet, Morak, is very reminiscent of a jungle planet, kind of like Kashyyyk, but not really. Later in the episode, we get Vietnam vibes. There's an indigenous native population here, and the jungles themselves resemble Vietnam. The way the Empire has taken over this region or this planet really gives out those war vibes. Once they land, another problem arises. You see, the terminal requires a face scan, and even the Imperials themselves could recognize some of these faces that are present. Fennec Shand is wanted by the ISB, as well as Boba Fett is very popular in these regions. All this gives Mando an idea for which he is not too pleased, but there is no other choice. Din Djarin will go together with Mayfeld, and they will use a cargo transport in order to sneak by the Imperials. Very intelligently, they wait for the cargo transport to enter a tunnel when they sneak attack. Cara Dune enters inside and knocks unconscious both of these transport troops, as now Mayfeld and Mando slip into those uniforms. Mayfeld trashes Mando for betraying Mandalore and wearing Imperial armor. Even Cara Dune says that it suits him. Not only is this a teasing, funny moment, it shows that the showrunners, Jon Favreau especially, made Mayfeld into a complete Bill Burr character. This was a complete fusion of these two characters. Mayfeld and Bill Burr were virtually the same, and that shows the genius of the writing staff and Jon Favreau together with Dave Filoni. They recognize that Bill Burr cannot play somebody else. He can only play himself. and Mayfeld is a complete Bill Burr replica. Not only is he quick with the jokes and the teasing, he actually is a paranoid lunatic, as Mando quickly finds out by the talkative Mayfeld as they're going through the tunnel and transporting the goods. Mayfeld starts talking about how everybody's the same, how the New Republic, the Empire, they're all the same. As they pass through a village, the native people are being occupied by this empire, but the New Republic would do the same thing, according to Mayfeld, who believes that everybody in the end has two sides to them. They either rule or be ruled. We also have a quick reference to Luke Skywalker in A New Hope, where he says about the Stormtrooper helmet that he can't see a thing in this helmet, and to Han Solo as they're entering the elevator, Mayfeld removes his helmet and says the same thing. Also teases Mando to take off his helmet as well, but it does not work. Now, what makes this transport challenging is that they're transporting rhydonium, which is extremely sensitive to heat and pressure. And so throughout this time, they need to keep the rhydonium heat levels low in order to transport them safely. This becomes enormously dangerous when a band of pirates attack these transports in order to quell the plans of the Imperial Refinery. It seems that they do not want the rhydonium for themselves, but they just want to destroy these transports and hurt the Empire. What happens next is kind of astonishing. Mando goes up to fight these pirates with his blaster. His blaster just shuts down, telling us about the ill-equipped Empire and how even their blasters are malfunctioning. But as soon as he starts fighting hand-to-hand combat with these pirates, a pirate actually strikes him on the armor and breaks off the armor. This is a very interesting revelation, not only because the Imperial armor seems to be a bit weak and is made out of weak plastisteel, but also it shows the vulnerability of Mando. He has been accustomed to fighting through all these years with a Beskar armor. Once he slips into a very, very weak armor, he now needs to learn a new way of fighting rather than just letting people hit him because he has Beskar armor and is safe. Right now, he is very, very much in danger because this armor will not keep him safe. Again, these scenes give a foreshadowing feel to them, because while Mando is fighting the pirates up above, there is a sort of a cooperation between Mayfeld and Mando, how they handle these pirates. Mayfeld knows how to manipulate the transport, and Mando fights them off. So not only do both of them escape the pirates by the skin of their teeth, what we get next again is astonishing. We get a completely new perspective on the Empire. As they're about to approach the Imperial Refinery, the remaining pirates are chased off by the Empire and by stormtroopers. As they enter the Imperial base, now we see a completely new perspective on the Empire. They seem like the Rebel Alliance cheering on when they destroyed the Death Star. It is something that we have not seen from Imperials before. Them cheering on their fellow Imperials and having something to celebrate for. Even Mayfeld says that he has never been glad to see Imperials before, as they saved them from those pirates. But the mission continues on, and now they approach that terminal. Unfortunately for both of them, the Imperial terminal is located inside a cafeteria. Once Mayfeld approaches, he then sees his old superior, Valen Hess, and now fears that Valen might recognize him, so he immediately wants the mission aborted. The Mandalorian volunteers for himself, but he needs to face scan in order for the terminal to be enabled. You can see where this is going. Mando definitely needs to remove his helmet in order for this to work, and I think they aligned this perfectly. By the way, if you missed it, a USB in the Star Wars universe is called a data stick. Mando gets the data stick from Mayfeld, goes inside the cafeteria, and immediately Valen Hess is suspicious. First Mando tries out the scan with his helmet on. It does not work. And then it happens. Mando finally removes his helmet, and we can see his face again. Din Djarin is out in the open. The Imperial terminal enables, and he is starting to transfer the data into the data stick, but at that moment, Hess approaches Mando. Nervously, Din Djarin turns around, and Hess asks for his TK number. It is at that moment that Mayfeld comes to the rescue, pretends that Din Djarin is basically deaf and did not hear his superior very well, but that they need to go immediately. We now learn that Valen Hess was not suspicious of these two, but was actually accommodating to them because they were the only transport to make it out alive today and come to the refinery. He wants to get them drinks. This is where trouble starts. The war had took a toll on Mayfeld, and once Valen Hess very happily reminded him of what they had done in the war and how everything was justified because it was for the Empire, Mayfeld started to lose it. And much to the dismay of Mando, who was staring daggers at him and wanted him to quit defying Valen Hess, Mayfeld simply pulled out a blaster and shoots Valen Hess straight in the chest. No questions asked. It is of course a complete shootout at that point. They want to make it outside. Way off in the jungle, two snipers are waiting or protecting both of them, and that is Cara Dune and Fennec Shand. Once Mayfeld and Mando make it to the top of the refinery, Slave One comes swooping by, saving both of them as both jump inside, and before they could leave completely, Mayfeld grabs a sniper rifle and shoots down the reactors, completely blowing up the refinery and practically redeeming himself. This was a redemption episode for Bill Burr. His first performance was shaky at best, although it was good. This one was phenomenal. I mean, Bill Burr completely stole the show, and even Cara Dune recognized his heroics by telling Mando that it was unfortunate prisoner Mayfeld died inside that refinery, inside that explosion, letting Mayfeld know that he is now a free man, and the official report will say that he had died inside the Imperial refinery. With them having now the coordinates for Moff Gideon, Mando sends off a final message, and it resembles a lot to what Gideon said to him way back in Season 1 about Baby Yoda, about Grogu. It is the exact same speech that Gideon gave to Cara Dune and to Din Djarin, and now Mando is returning the favor. The finale is coming next week, and it's gonna be enticing, surprising, and I'm sure we're gonna get shocked. The worst thing is that I know a cliffhanger is gonna come at the end of Season 2, so I can't wait to see what it actually will be. Thank you guys so much for watching this review, and if you enjoyed, and leave all your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you until then.